The Make-A-Wish Foundation grants hundreds of thousands of life-changing wishes every year, and here they're asking everyone to embrace the superhero within each of us. Let's take a journey. It all starts here, where you'll learn about the Make-A-Wish mission, which is to help kids believe that anything is possible through the wishes they're granted. Now, a wish is granted in the United States and its territories every 34 minutes to kids like Zayden. He was a 7-year-old with a congenital heart defect whose wish was to blast off to Saturn in a red rocket ship. I think Zayden and I have the same favorite color, apparently. But his wish was granted with the help of NASA and virtual reality. He blasted off to space, seeing the moon and stars, and even meeting an alien named Bebo. Now, over here, attendees can take a picture in the photo booth with any of the props to take some of the SuiteWorld memories home with them. And over here on the activation, you will meet Sawyer, who is a 3-year-old who dearly missed his pet chickens while he was in the hospital undergoing leukemia treatments. He was afraid that they were in danger, and his family wasn't able to build a coop themselves, so he wished for a coop mansion to be built to keep his chickens safe. And now, instead of feeling anxious for his treatments, he now brings a carton of eggs at every doctor's visit. Now, on to the best part, how you can help. So for everyone at home, with all those hotel points, airline miles, used cars laying around, everything helps and you can make a difference. If you would like to help, you can head to wish.org/ways to give, and you can also leave a NetSuite product review, and G2 will make a donation for you. Now, I am joined by a guest here at SuiteWorld, David Luther. Now, David, you walked through the experience. How do you feel about Make-A-Wish?
I'd say one thing that's done enough for me, since I couldn't really come up with words myself, has been the number of people who stopped by and said that they personally experienced it through their families, their relatives, and their loved ones. And they all tried to find different ways that they could give, but one of the things that they said most for us is just to get out the message, get out the story, and hearing some of that has been fulfilling enough for me as it is.
Do you have any story that you heard specifically that you... Do you have any story... Sorry, everyone at home, now you can hear me. Do you have any story specifically that you've heard that you could share?
I'd say a lot of them were too choked up to really go into too many details. One of them did say that his son was able to, throughout the pandemic, was able to fly closer to be with his family. And they basically were able to go through some of the theme parks in North Carolina and do them all by themselves, which was a really good moment for him because he hadn't been able to do anything in public for so long.
Wow, that is truly incredible. Well, thank you so much, David. I appreciate you coming on here with me and sharing those heartfelt stories. Now, as you can see, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is truly making a difference. I don't know about you, but I always feel inspired when I hear stories like these, and I hope you feel inspired too. But the magic is not over just yet. You will now hear from Make-A-Wish President and CEO, Richard Davis. Kendall and Fritz, back to you in the studio for what I'm sure will be an amazing interview.
Wow, that is so cool. I can't wait to check that out. Thank you, Tori. And yes, we are here with Make-A-Wish President and CEO, Richard K. Davis. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here with both of you.
Like we just saw with Tori at that awesome Make-A-Wish Foundation, a lot of the kids that are part of Make-A-Wish, they wish to be superheroes or meet superheroes or have superpowers. So I want to kick things off here. We have a little superhero theme happening.
Let's do it.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Not to have any wish kids.
Aww.
Yeah, but you know, actually we have one goal in life, and you cannot have, as a kid, your wish cannot be to have another wish.
Yeah.
It's got to be isolated to one very special thing, the most important thing you could think of. And mine would be the well-being of all these kids. It really would.
It's amazing.
That is a great, that is a great wish. Like many not-for-profit companies, 2020 presented a lot of tough challenges for achieving outcomes.
Right.
Has 2021 been more business as usual, or still challenges?
Yeah, we're far from through the gauntlet here, but as you think about it, Make-A-Wish probably was as affected as any organization you could think of, top of mind. 80% of our children, 15,000 a year, travel by airplane or to large destinations, and all of that was put on hold with the pandemic, and none of it's back. So we're still operating through, really, we're in the more mature stages of reimagining wishes. So a child who wanted to go to Disney World or a child who wanted to go to the Galapagos now has thought about being mayor for a day, or meeting a celebrity virtually, or developing a special garden because they want to be a chef, and we'll develop that in their yard. So very clever adjustments, but none of which have gotten us back to the original paradigm. So I think we're probably another many months, if not a year from it. As the vaccines come down in terms of age, no one wants 5 to 11-year-olds to be vaccinated more than I do and the Make-A-Wish organization, because that then opens the door again to a more normal opportunity for these kids.
When you were talking with Evan about some of these creative ideas, I was thinking, who comes up with these ideas?
Yeah, so that's really a good point. So each of our chapters across the country have a staff of anywhere from 5 to 25 people. And in those staffs are wish explorers, people who will actually develop the idea. So when little Richard comes in and meets the Make-A-Wish staff, they'll take us to some special venue in the location where wish ideation can happen.
Yeah.
And the wish can take hours and many days. It's not like the kid says, I want a puppy. Great, here's your puppy. It's a much more defined process, which really allows us to explore what wish is going to help them in their therapy. And here's the aha. It's not what the kid just wants, it's how best can we give them a wish that will align perfectly with the time they need the therapy and the belief in the possibilities of anything that they can have. And so we will extend the wish discovery period so that it's part of that journey.
Wow.
Then the wish preparation period is part of the journey. The wish itself is part of it, and then the reflection back and capturing it for much longer. So there's a lot of stages to make this very, very special.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps hearing you talk about that. I mean, do you think this will have lasting effects post-pandemic on how you grant wishes?
It does. In fact, great point, Fritz. We learned a whole new scheme of wish options because we were doing more of the traditional wishes for 40 years. But now we were forced to say, let's listen differently. And when I say to the next child who we meet, you need a wish for something that doesn't include air travel or international travel, they're like, okay, I've never had a wish before anyway. So it's not new to them, it's only new to those of us who've done it. So we have to rethink the way we introduce it and say, what would you like? Anything in the world, not including those two things, and they come up with remarkable opportunities. And then we get the pleasure of being part of the discovery, and then their family and their caregivers get to be part of the execution. It's really very special.
Wow.
Now, you are not alone in the large amount of companies and organizations who have had to pivot during this time. Pivoting is something we talk a lot about here at NetSuite, and how you have the right systems and processes in place to ensure that you can, in fact, do that, and quickly, as we saw from February 2020 to March 2020. You're actually in the midst of a multi-year project upgrade to your technology.
Correct.
Now, that's not always easy for nonprofit organizations. How did you position the project to your board and major donors?
Can I back up before I answer that and just say, if we had had the NetSuite solutions that we're getting now, before the pandemic hit, it would have been a remarkable enablement for us as we went through these many changes. Because we didn't know where people were, we didn't know where the kids were, we didn't know what was consistent. And so I just want to put a play in for how much that's going to help us for potentially the next surprise.
Good to hear.
It wasn't hard to sell because as we were started 41 years ago, we're kind of like the Lewis and Pike. We went across the country in chapters being organized anywhere from 40 years ago to 15 years ago. All that to say is each chapter operated in its own systems, each nascent to themselves, each separate from the other, and as old as day one. No one's gone through any updates. So we're collecting 59 chapters of different starting points, plus the national office, and bring them all to one. So on one hand, we're not undoing anything that was done. We're introducing, though, on the other hand, in a really late stage, a whole new way of thinking, a contemporary way of running an organization, which wasn't hard to sell, to answer your question, because we knew where we were, we knew where we could be, and we just had to paint a picture with the help of NetSuite on what this could do to change the way we operate. It was an easy sell.
So did you get any pushback from those chapters?
Yes, because the chapters like their own individual information and their independence. So we had to promise that there wouldn't be a change in that separation. They can still own their data, the donors are their people, but we're going to take that information and give it back to them first to see what it can be done, and then they're going to start seeing it themselves where they can just draw on it directly. And there's enough people out there that are visionaries to see how that's going to change, and the suspicions of ownership and trust are long past.
Are there any organizational benefits that you've hoped for and seen just a little bit thus far? I know we're early in the game, but...
Better stories told. So Kendall, if you were a very important volunteer in Connecticut and you relocated to San Diego, we don't know that today. And we can already see that that information will be available to us. So then we can cultivate you, thank you in Connecticut, welcome you in San Diego, understand your skills. If Fritz, you were multilingual and you had a big and you had a big van, that's really important data for us when we execute wishes.
Right.
And we have no idea who's multilingual. We don't know whether you have the transportation to help us. So we can already see the benefits of that data being collapsed, never mind the architecture of the financial systems, and it's going to be quite remarkable for us.
I'm going to ask this next question in Arabic.
There you go. Would you mind? Because I can understand that. Do it Latin, why don't you?
Aramaic.
Yeah.
So as you think about the benefits of this project, how do you think outcomes will improve in 2 to 3 years?
They're going to improve because we're just bringing ourselves into the current day. Everything is technology driven, and when you come to an organization that's still paper clips and rubber bands, you feel that, and it slows you down. So first of all, our efficiency, and secondly, pride. The organization will feel that it's very in the minute, dealing with kids who are also contemporary and helping them see and imagine wishes. Can you imagine, say, virtual reality, where we can bring kids to see different options for wishes before they live them to make the best decision? Or we can capture the moment so they can live it again and again for as many years later as possible. So we can see the benefits occurring very quickly to the very wish experience itself.
That's great.
Do you have any advice for other leaders of nonprofits who are thinking about some of the changes that you've made?
Yeah, because necessity is something you get after you've gone through something hard like this. No matter where you are, if you're not one consolidated umbrella system, get to it. Because I think if the head fake for us might have been that if everyone had a fairly good system that was more contemporary but not cohesive, we might have thought that was good enough. But what NetSuite's helping us understand is everything in one place under one umbrella, with the ability to reach in and lever and customize. That's where the success of the future is, and I would recommend strongly that no matter where you think you are, if you're not at the end point, go there now, because once you're at that end point, and you can be cloud-based and you can be consolidated, then all of your options are open to you.
Love that. And we talk a lot, to nonprofits and say you need to be operating the way that a for-profit organization would operate. So I love that insight.
Right.
We're already at the end here, so I want to bring it back to something fun.
All right, let's do it.
If you could choose a favorite, and I know this is going to be really difficult, but if you could choose a favorite, what are like 1 or 2 wish grants that are super special to you?
There's one that comes to mind, which is a young gal named Karina, who just last year in Sacramento area wanted her wish to be to help all the kids waiting for their wish.
Oh, wow.
Right? So the kids of generations past either want something or need to meet someone or want to go somewhere. There's a new generation that wants to give it back.
Yeah.
They want the wish to go on and pay it forward before they even take the wish.
Oh.
And so she created a 3-hour virtual program with the help of Disney and a number of our partners, WWE and others, to introduce to thousands of kids who are waiting now because of the pandemic. And they got to do dance classes and drawing classes, and we had this wonderful experience where all these kids got to experience her wish by looking forward to theirs because she wanted them to experience it. She wanted no kid to be waiting any longer.
Wow.
That's a favorite.
That's amazing.
Right.
I love that's truly touching.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at the end of our broadcast today, Fritz and I stole something from Jimmy Fallon. We're going to be playing Mad Libs Theater.
Sure.
So we're asking all of our guests to provide us with some words or phrases to help in that. Can you give us a verb and a plural noun?
Running. Cars.
Love it. That's going to be great.
I want to see it.
This is so awesome.
But what we're allowed to do,
We're in COVID times. We're in COVID times.
Great to meet
Thank you.
Thanks for this opportunity to share our
thanks for
story.
joining us.
Thank you for the great stories too.
Yeah.
And after this short